Everybody up. Everybody up. Hey, welcome to the Spring Leaning Challenge, April 2023. This is fantastic. So, um, the beauty of you being here and us being here is that today we all get to learn together. I show up as entertainment, Sarit shows up to teach you some things, and you're going to learn a lot. So, really quickly, before we get started, um, we want to teach you guys a little bit about our stories, but we're also going to share with you just our passion is from where we came from to where we're at now, believing that no woman should ever feel like she is a victim or she is in prison to her relationship with food. And so this is so beyond a workout program. This is so beyond just let's give you some food to eat and you go eat it and all is merry until you can't do it anymore. We want to teach you real sustainable, practical principles that are going to help you lose weight. Whether you want to lose the last 5 pounds, there's going to be things in this challenge that are valuable for you. If you want to lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds, there's going to be things in there that are extremely valuable to you. So we're extremely grateful that you have joined us. We're going to do everything in our power to help you succeed. So make sure that you stick around. Make sure you commit for all 5 days. Make sure these are in your calendar and you have alarm set so that you can join us. And if you can't join us here live every single day, make sure you are putting it in your calendar when you're going to watch the replay. I promise you, I'm not saying this to say it. I'm saying this because I've seen it happen over and over and over. If you show up to me, you're open-minded, your life will change forever. If you've been here a while, not your first challenge with us, let them know. Your life will change forever. I'm Erin.
And I'm Siri, and we're so excited to have you here with us today. So think E, Erin for entertainment, S for student or the nerd. And today we're going to be talking about, how to build a sustainable path without having to focus on calories or anything along those lines. So for those of you guys in the chat, we're super excited to have you here. Please go ahead and drop a 1 if this is your first time here with us. Now, if this is more than your first time, then just go ahead and drop an OG in the chat. We want to see you guys. Welcome. This is our mission. We're on a mission to transform the lives of millions of people through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. We're super grateful that you're giving us your most valuable asset, which is your time, to pay attention to a message which might be disruptive. And the first thing that I'm about to share with you is that it's not about the weight that you lose, but rather who you become in the process. And the other thing that I can tell you is that over these 5 days, some of the things that we're going to be talking about are going to be super mechanical. So for all of my analytic people in the house, once we get to the mechanical stuff, some of it is going to happen today. You're going to be like mind blown. Okay. For those of you guys who like more of the feeling of they're taking me through a movie or a roller coaster ride, just wait till you hear Erin speak. Okay. We're really here to take you on a journey with us, because the truth of the matter is that transforming your body, like Erin said, it doesn't matter whether you want to drop 5 pounds, or maybe you want to add, like a little bit more muscle. Maybe you want to, boost up your metabolism, or maybe you want to drop 100 pounds. These principles apply for every step along the way. It's just how you apply it may look different over time. So just so that we get to, connect with you, because connection is so valuable to us. Like, I see many of you guys who, are in our programs and in our community. However, regardless of whether this is your first time, or, maybe you've been in our community for 2 years, please go ahead and drop, like, ultimately, what is it that you're looking to achieve right now? Like, what is it that you're working on? Not just during those 5 days, but beyond. Like, is it I want to drop 30 pounds, like I want to feel confident in my bikini. I want to shift my relationship with food. Like, where are you guys at? So I see some ones in the meantime while you guys are dropping in your goals. And I also see some OGs in here. Okay. Some of you guys want more discipline. Drop 80 pounds and build muscle. Life crushing awesomeness. Love that. Mental health, love life again. Oh, so powerful. Fit and healthy for longevity. So, so good.
So throughout these next 5 days, we're going to give you, like Sarit said, tactical things that you can take away that you can implement into your own life. If you're in a place where you can take notes. If you can shut your kids in the closet, that's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. But, you know, just really quickly, I came from I was very active as a kid, and I never thought about what I ate. I never had to. I played sports 3 seasons out of the year, and I was always moving, always riding my bike, always. And, for dinner, we would have mac and cheese with hot dogs and hamburger helper, and our salad was like some iceberg lettuce with carrots and ranch and croutons and bacon bits. And, I never learned how to eat well. And as I stopped playing sports and I got into college, I ended up gaining about 40 pounds. And as somebody who is very athletic and used to having a slender body, it was difficult to manage mentally because my identity was I'm an athlete, but I did not feel like an athlete. I also, you'll come to find out if you don't know, if you're new here, I'm a very, very big personality and I don't like to hide. Like, I want
Who
to.
else has a big personality? Go ahead and drop a P for personality.
So very naturally, some people are more of the observer and some people are more of the life of the party. By nature, I am more of the life of the party personality, and I felt like I had to hide. I would wear spandex shorts like, underneath my jeans, like the Nike Pro, like to squish down whatever I could here. Then I would wear a tight tank top, like underneath, and a t-shirt. So like and just knowing it's like no matter how okay I could try to make myself look on the outside, I always went to bed with myself at night and I always saw myself in the mirror before I took a shower and after I took a shower, and I knew me. And just feeling completely low from not just a what do I look like point of view, but from a I know that I am capable of so much more. I feel slow. I feel tired. I feel fat. If I'm being ugly, if I'm being honest, I told myself like I'm ugly. Who will ever love me? All these things went through my mind. And so if you can resonate with this, and I'll share what was the turning point for me. But if you can resonate with any of that, you're going to want to stick around for all 5 days because we will explain your situation to you in greater detail than you even understand yet yourself. And you are going to have light bulb moment after light bulb moment that is, even if you're not new here, when we do these live, you guys know if you're still showing up, there's a reason you're still showing up because we say some other crazy stuff that we haven't said before, or we say something in a way that we haven't said it before because we continue to evolve. So you can go with a little bit of your story from there.
I'll share it throughout those 5 days. So today we're gonna talk some mechanics and we're gonna talk about the concept of calories. In the past, or maybe currently, if you have done any form of calorie counting or tracking, just go ahead and drop AC. And I share this with you because there is a better way for holding yourself accountable because ultimately this is a journey. I too used to track calories at the beginning of my journey, and that actually led to a series of disordered eating patterns. Because if you know that you're a high performer, okay, I see a lot of C's. If you know that you're a high performer, and like you are driven by numbers, right? Whether it's the number on the scale, the number of calories that you're eating, like once you hit that breaking point, you're like, you know what? I started off maybe with whatever number you used to start off with, 2,500 calories or 2,000 calories, according to the day, American diet, whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, I've been doing good with that. Let me go and take myself to 1,800 calories. And then, you become consistent with that. And then you're like, oh, wait, I know I can do more. Like you treat it for all of the runners in the house, right? It's like you're taking yourself through your calorie journey like you do through like a 5K or a 10K or a marathon, right? And, once you hit that benchmark, you're like, okay, I'm going to deplete myself of more food. And while we believe in a form of tracking numbers, we do not believe in tracking your calories for a number of reasons. Because reason number one, from a behavioral standpoint, what's going to happen mentally is that you will want to continue depleting yourself of more calories the farther you go along the way. Yes? Who can resonate with this? That was my journey. I took myself down to 800 calories per day. And at the time, I was so active, like for me, you also have this benchmark of how many calories do I need to burn because I need to be on a caloric deficit. With regards to calories, yes, being in a caloric deficit matters. And this is why it can create a mental mess, right? Because from a number to matter standpoint, you're like, well, like if I am consuming less than I'm burning, then I'm going to lose weight. Yes, that's a fact that a caloric deficit is going to help you to drop weight. However, there are more things beneath that we have not been told before, that we have not been educated on before. And if you're anything like how I used to be, what that ends up creating is two things.
Can you can go all the way?
Oh yeah.
There
So
you don't have
it's so weird. We're like so far away, right? Like I'm like on the surfboard. So what it does is, from a mental standpoint, it now exposes you to a greater opportunity of developing disordered eating patterns.
Why?
Because you think that the less food you give yourself, the better you're going to achieve. Because at some point along the way, it did work, but then it doesn't. Whoever hit that wall? And then what it leads to is a poor relationship with food, fear of eating in the first place, right? And then that can open you up to that cycle of the extreme yo-yo, because you're not actually learning to build that continued discipline and manage your mind. It's either, like imagine driving your car on a highway, going gas pedal all the way and then braking all the way. Like, imagine the amount of, like, would you be able to get to your destination safely? If you are driving at 3 a.m. on an empty road, you might. And this is why we always think that everything has to be perfect. The stars need to align. It has to be the perfect time. The kids have to be out of school or in school, or it needs to be a Monday or the new year, or, like if I'm busy or I just got a promotion, it doesn't work. No, it's not that. I share this with you because I want to help you to learn how to play the game right. So what it does from a mental standpoint is that it messes with your head. And then you continue doing the same thing you've always done. And because you know that at some point it did work, you continue going back for it. Just like if you've ever been in a codependent relationship, I was. That codependent relationship.
I'll
You're like,
tell you why. It's familiar.
right.
We're much more comfortable with what we're familiar with, right? If you have used an iPhone since the generation where half of it was aluminum, and you try to go to an Android, you don't now. Like something amazingly terrible has to happen for you to be like, oh, I'm switching because it's just so unfamiliar. You're like, I don't want to learn a new, right? So it creates, and we're talking about not just okay. So calories in, calories out. The science of it, yes, there's truth. However, when we're tracking these things, when we're logging them into nutrition apps and things like that, it creates an obsession because you have accountability while you're doing it and everything has to be perfect. Nope, I think it was like barely over 0.25 cups. So I'm going to say 0.27, like to the, you know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, put obsession in the chat. Okay, it creates a fear of food eating, like Sarit said. You miss out on experiences too because you're at the spaghetti factory or Olive Garden or wherever. You're like, hold on, guys, let me put my lasagna. How many pieces of lasagna do you think is in here? And when the whole purpose of being in that environment is to create an experience with loved ones and be a part of that. Right? So you miss out on experiences. It's extremely inconvenient too. Are you gonna break a food scale? Hold on. Let me make sure this is 4 ounces of chicken breast. It's not. I better cut off this little piece. You know what I mean? Like it sounds crazy, but I know you all have been there to one extent, one extent or another.
If you have been there, can you just go
If
ahead and
you-
drop an I? Are we like the only crazy ones?
If you've counted your almonds, if you have counted
6
your almonds,
almonds. 6.
and we make light of it because if we think about it externally, like it seems logically like so silly, but we're going to explain to you a better way, a more efficient way, a way that's practical for your life, a way that you don't have to obsess about, a way that you can do no matter where you go. You don't have to put things into your phone and it's all lottie dandy dandy.
Yeah. So we just talked about the behavioral component because we are a byproduct of our habits,
I see
right?
the almond count.
And because we're familiar with a pattern that works, while it might not work with regards to where you're at, you're going to continue going back for it, right? And what happens the moment a new adversity that you have never, like confronted shows up? So let me tell you something about sustainably transforming your body. It is a life-solving problem. Okay, there's so much more to it, and the manifestation of it is your weight. But there are many components to it, and that's exactly what we're going to go over each and every single day. As a matter of fact, just bear with me one moment. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to outsmart your genetics. So regardless of whether you've been born in a big boned family, okay, like, is it possible for you to not be overweight if you are overweight, or get a six pack if this is where you want to get to? Because I come from a big bone family and I've been told all these things for as long as I can remember, and if I can, so can you.
Or same with like if diabetes runs in your family,
Yes,
or
heart disease. Yep.
If those things run typically in your family or obesity or whatever it is, there are genes, yes, part of your genetic code, but we're going to show you a way where you can outsmart that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And where you don't have to be destined to that.
Yeah. On day 3, we're going to talk about how can you still keep in the stuff that you love without feeling guilty about it, right? It's like
Who would
As,
like to eat a brownie and then like not feel like you have to do guilt cardio the next day?
as a matter of fact, like just drop in the chat. Like if there is one thing, now I know some of you guys might have 3 or 10, okay? However, just for the sake of connecting with you guys, what would be the one thing that you're like, dude, like if I could keep this in my life, I totally would, whether it's your brownies or your wine or your cookie, or maybe it's, like beer, whatever it may be, like what's your thing? So we're going to be going over that on day 3. Okay. Day number 4, we're going to talk about how to unlock your willpower so that once you get into those more difficult moments, you'll be able to get an understanding of how to press through it, because this is a game of consistency. Okay. And then day number 5, we're going to be going over how to detach from a number on the scale and put our entire self-worth based on, whatever it may be. So we're going to take you guys on a journey, and this is a byproduct of our journey, our coach's journey, our team's journey. I want to say a huge shout out to our entire team, because it takes a team to move a mountain, and we're really here to help you guys. We're real people just like you. So going back to the mechanics, I know I went on a tangent real quick. By the way,
much pizza and ice cream in here, by the way. Our people, our kind of people.
So just so you know, after we're done with the teaching, we're going to be sharing with you today's challenge. Okay, so please make sure that you stick around for that.
And there's points. I know how you guys like to count points. There's a point system to track your progress.
There's a better way to track. Okay, so from a mechanical standpoint, I want to share with you why calorie counting doesn't actually work. Because did you know that whenever like you look at, let's say, a food label, let's say, you go to the grocery store and you're like, okay, I want to get some peanut butter. And, like, of course, in our day and age, like you go to a grocery store, you don't see one peanut butter, you see like 100. So like, how do we make that decision of what is better then? If you're anything like how I used to be, I'm like, ooh, like this one for 2 tablespoons has 190 calories. The other one has 170. Maybe it's that. But is it actually number one? We're going to talk about the better for you in just a second. The first thing that is important to note is whatever you see in the food on the food labels, where it's marked, let's say 170 calories per serving or whatever it may be, please note that there could be an up to 25% discrepancy. And also, based on your rate of metabolism, whether that same amount of energy gets converted could have up to a 25% discrepancy. And I share this with you because even if you were to not open your mind and you were to, like end this conversation right now, like imagine if you're trying to be on point, meanwhile, you're actually 25% off because there's certain things that are outside of your control.
And you don't know.
Right. So the question is how do I create a better way? And that's what I want to share with you next. Also, the other thing that's important to note that, calorie counting will not give you is the fact that there are other components to your food that we need to pay attention to, especially with how the food industry is shifting. For example, today for the first time, I heard that there is such a thing as cauliflower wings. What was the thing you said yesterday about? Oh, yesterday, I want to give a huge shout out to Elda. She's over there on the other side of the room, and she basically, takes care of all of the quality control, everything. So thank you so much for that.
She babies.
So last night she's like, how did you say it word for word? But you were talking about cauliflower waffles.
Oh yeah.
She said something along the lines of, can I share this with them?
No, she read it. It was a meme or something like that.
I just found out that cauliflower waffles are a thing now, and I just want to say that if anyone ever serves me a cauliflower waffle, I will immediately call the police.
Now, if you like cauliflower waffles, we love you. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is that they're now. Thank you. Is that there are now so many new things coming up, and the question is like, how do we, number one, stay sane in the process, and number two is how do we continue to uprise our level of results? And this is who in here has tried over and over and over again, and you're like, dude, but like it's not like you know, like like inconsistent. Like I've been like putting in effort for like months on end, and
I would actually like to know who has been consistent, who has been inconsistent. If you get really real with yourself, who right consistent if for at least the last 3 months you have not varied in your nutrition or your workout regimen, and put inconsistent if you've been like either all over the map where you were good for like a week or 5 days and then you shit the bed, or you haven't been doing anything. Like you just put where you're at. There's no shame here, no guilt, just to get an idea of where we're at. Because I think that the majority of us, that is a very big struggle, and why a lot of people come to us is because of that inconsistency and like a desperation to just I just want something to stick. I want something to stick. Look at all these inconsistents.
yeah.
And congratulations if you have been consistent.
And by the way, there's levels to increase your level of consistency, and we're going to talk about that, especially on day 3. Okay, so going back to that is, even if you are consistent, even if you're like, man, I think I'm doing all the things right, though we all always have an area of opportunity to continue growing. The other thing that we need to consider is with the like food industry continually shifting, and also who is behind the like controlling the food industry and what are their real intentions. Is it any wonder why this country is continuing to become more overweight? So just so you know, right now, 42% of Americans are considered to be morbidly obese. By the end of this century, this number is going to go up to 49%. Childhood obesity is on the rise. Teenage obesity is on the rise, right? Like they now, want to put, cholesterol medication in our water. So it's important to understand these things because the standards in our society are going to continue dropping, which means that if you don't actually understand how the game works, you could even have the best intentions in the world. However, because you don't have a real understanding of how this game really works, you could still be falling behind. And I would hate that for you. Because number one, from my own experience, I know that how you look at yourself when you look in the mirror touches everything that you do in your life. It touches how you talk to yourself. It touches how you talk to your spouse. It touches how you talk to your kids, how you show up at work, and also like how far you feel like you're actually capable of going in life. And I know that if you're in this community, you're here to go far, because that's what the ES Army is all about, right? Like continuously becoming better and better. And by the way, it doesn't matter, what age you are. Like we've got like 50-year-old women in this community that are rocking it. Like late 40s, like women who are going through perimenopause, menopause. Trust me, like these teachings will absolutely change your life just continue opening up your mind to it.
And also not women who have been doing this for like decades.
Right. So the other thing to note, so this touches your family, this is going to touch society. Like the number is only going to continue rising, which means that things are going to become more difficult. So are we all in agreement that we all need to make it a point to understand that there is a better way?
Yes.
Okay. So speaking about a better way, when it comes to your food, there are 3 things that you need to understand: what you're eating, how much you're eating.
Can I write on this so then they also can see it?
What you're eating, how much you're eating, and how is that going to affect my body? When you going back to that peanut butter aisle, when you go to that peanut butter aisle and you're like, oh yeah, I see like peanut butter one says low fat Skippy, 30% less fat. Ooh, tempting. Hey, versus, regular Skippy, right? Like who in here has gone for the low fat, 33% less sugar, no sugar this, no sugar that? Like if this is you, just go ahead and drop an I real quick. Now, just because you see that claim, this does not actually mean that that thing is better for you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thank you. If you had let's go off of how many calories, I want to know from you guys, like how many calories do you think that you need to eat in a day in order for you to be losing 1 to 2 pounds a week? Put it in the comments. I know y'all done the calorie calculators. This is what I weigh. This is what I want to weigh. This is how active I am. This is how tall I am. And it spits out a number. How many we got? Who's here? What do we got? 1,800, 1,000, 1,200? 1,200 is the first one I saw. So we're going to say 1,200. Imagine you eat 1,200 calories. Okay. There's 2 scenarios. Scenario A, all you are allowed to eat is donuts. Don't get too excited. I know. And scenario B, all you're allowed to eat is broccoli.
That's a lot of gas.
So I want to know, 1,200 calories is 1,200 calories. Can we agree? 1,200 calories is 1,200 calories, period, right? Which one of these 2 options do you think is going to make you, let's just call it skinnier or lose weight? If you were to take a wild guess, donuts or broccoli? Okay, I see a neither. I see a broccoli. So 4 donuts and 10 pounds of broccoli. Okay, I see broccoli. How many broccolis is that? B, both. Okay. Some people are saying both. Some people are saying neither. Some people say it depends. Some people say B. Okay, I didn't see anybody say A. But 1,200 calories is 1,200 calories, right? Okay, so how your body processes these 2 things, though, do you think that, so if you were to drink soda versus you were to drink a diet soda, this is not a good analogy because it doesn't match. How your body processes these is extremely different. What it does to your hormones, what it does to your energy levels. You're going to feel extremely lethargic if you eat 1,200 calories of donuts. You're probably also going to be hungry. You're going to shit your pants if you eat 1,200 calories of broccoli. Why? Why would you shit your pants eating 1,200 calories of broccoli but not 1,200 calories of donuts? Because they processed in your body differently. They do different things to your hormones and to your system and to how you sleep and to your mood.
Can I just dive deeper into that? So broccoli versus donuts. And then I want to give you guys another analogy because I want to compare like a red apple to a green apple. Like this is an apple to a peach, which is amazing. However, I want
But
to
it's
give
1,200 calories.
right. So I was gonna make a joke, but some of you guys might take it
Stay in your
seriously.
lane.
Yeah, I know. Good one. Okay, so with regards to donuts, okay, like let's just think about, because this is gonna lead to the next point. And broccoli. I think it has two L's. It's one of those words. It's really hard to spell. What are donuts made out of? And for all my bakers in the house, like please know that I'm not a baked goods, expert. However, we all know that what it's made out of is flour, right? Sugar, and whatever else you make donuts out of. Yeast, food colorings. If you see like a purple glaze, like where did that come from, right? Broccoli, on the other hand, what is it made out of? Lots of water.
I saw somebody say you blow up if you eat broccoli, so you wouldn't lose weight. You will for sure lose weight eating 1,200 calories of broccoli. You'll also hate life.
Yes.
You might not hate life eating
And you
1,200
will
calories of
probably
broccoli
want to sleep on a separate bed, because if you're anything like me,
and wear a diaper.
there's gonna be a cloud. True story. Okay, so water, fiber, right? Like vitamins, minerals. And I share this with you because what calories don't teach us is how does this affect our body? How sugar and flour gets processed in your body, and what it actually does to your body is completely different than what water, fiber, vitamins, and minerals do for your body.
Move this computer over here if you keep looking at it.
Sorry. So just remind me. So, while from a calorie standpoint, you're eating the same amount of energy. What is a calorie? It is a unit. It is a unit of measurement for energy in the body. However, what it doesn't mention is what effect that does it have on our well-being, on our health status, on our body composition, aka our weight loss, and also our metabolism.
Is this making sense? Like, is this connecting now? Does it make a little bit more sense why 1,200 calories of a donut would not be equal to, even though in a unit of measurement of energy, it doesn't give you the same result. Put yes if it makes sense. Put no if not. Okay, we can be honest.
So now right now we're comparing a highly processed food to a vegetable. Okay, let's go with something that's a bit closer together so that you gain an even better understanding. Like, what if it's something from the same food group, right? So there are 4 food groups, right? Like you've got carbs, you've got fat, you've got protein, and you've got alcohol. Okay, they all digest differently in the body. The micronutrients are, like vitamins, minerals, they just support everything that's happening from the energetic component. Okay, so let's take, for example, let's compare blueberries to a blueberry pie. They both have blueberries, right? And let's take the same amount of calories. Let's say, 1,200 calories of blueberries. Yes, it's a carb versus 1,200 calories of a blueberry pie. Which would you consider intuitively before we even go to the mechanics? Why would you consider it?
I also have another question.
From is it more in alignment with my goal standpoint? Would you consider the blueberries or would you consider the blueberry pie?
I also have another question. Unless you have a follow-up question to that.
Well, you can ask them the question. I want to see you guys' results because I want to hit it home.
Blueberries.
Neither. Okay. Well, if you had to choose between one of them based on what's in more alignment with your goals. Okay, I see more blueberries. The reason why you would do that is because the way that it gets processed, okay, glycemic index, what it does to your hormones. Sorry.
You don't get to look at this anymore.
What it does to your hormones is completely different. And while from a caloric standpoint, you could be thinking, or from an energy standpoint, or from a tracking standpoint, you could be hitting your numbers if it fits my macros group. Oh, I'm short on my carbs, so let me have 3 M&Ms so I complete my day. However, if from a hormonal profile, it is not in alignment with where it is that you want to be, you're actually being held back, and you can be so on point with your numbers. And this is why, like tracking calories doesn't work, and why tracking macros is ineffective unless you're an athlete or have already built an extremely strong foundation. Because from a numbers to number standpoint, it's going to hold you back.
So this is just another food for thought. You see what I did there? Okay, not funny. So why is it, and actually I want to ask this question too, from a volume standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
From a volume standpoint, which of these, if we're taking our 1,200 calories, our same 1,200 calories, which of these would give you more volume? You would have more of if you had 1,200 calories. Put blueberries or put blueberry pie in the chat. Which one would you have a larger quantity of for 1,200 calories? Blueberries, 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 berries, berries. Okay, why though? Can anybody answer why? They're obviously been different. 1,200 calories, 1,200 calories. But why do I get way more of one than the other one? It's a little something called
Nutrient density.
There's way more nutrients in blueberries per the calorie it carries. Okay, so for those 1,200 calories, you are going to get an extreme amount of nutrients that are helpful for your body compared to the 1,200 calories of blueberry pie, which is actually going to be damaging more than helpful.
So at this point in time, you're like, okay, so does that mean that the next time I go to the grocery store, I need to have like 100 charts in front of me because, oh man, like what is the nutrient density of, like peanut butter or bread
I think it's
or
more,
whatever it is that you get, right? So
it's not a nutrient density question,
no, it's not, but it's leading to the next part.
but it's how do I know what foods are going to be better inside my body than others?
Yes.
With all the trickery going on in
Right.
the food industry, things that say low carb or keto or, special makes you think it's really healthy. Is it really? Okay, you go.
Yeah. So what you want to consider, so what you'll want to assess is the overall quality of the food. And there is a simpler way to assess rather than, well, let me Google everything that I get at the store. Like, what is the overall nutrient density of it? It can get extremely daunting and extremely overcomplicated. And if you think that already tracking calories or anything along those lines is daunting, like trying to assess this can be even more daunting. However, what we're going to share with you next is going to be a lot simpler.
This is just to prove to you all calories are not equal.
Yes. And again, a quick recap that we want to share with you here from what we've talked about so far is that, yes, in order for you to drop weight, there does need to be a caloric deficit. However, focusing on the surface level calories in, calories out is not only going to, from a physiological standpoint, get you to a point where you're going to stall, but also from a behavioral standpoint, what it's going to do is it's going to create a mess.
Yeah, because I want to ask, what happens when you stop logging your calories? Just think about it for a second. Put it in the chat if you know. What happens? I'm good all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on point, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, fuck it. What happens then?
Hmm.
What happens when your accountability goes out the window?
Or when you travel to Mexico and maybe there's like no cell phone service.
Winner.
What are you gonna do? Been, yes, been there.
I call
Been there.
I call it the fuck it moment, where you're just like, I ate one little thing because I didn't want to track it, and then you're like, well, I already ate that. How many times have you said that? I already ate that, so I might as well. You know the story.
So what you want to consider a more sustainable path is to assess when it comes to food, 3 things. What is it, right? What is the overall quality and how much of it am I having? Right? Like the what and the how much. I mean, it's a lot easier to, like get specific with. But with the overall quality, how do you, in a non-daunting way, right? Like look at charts or Google everything, nutrient density or blah, 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 because a lot of times you're not going to get that either. So what you want to do is you want to differentiate between, is it a real whole food versus a food-like product? I'll say this again. Is it a real whole food versus a food-like product? Going back to the peanut butter analogy, okay? While the peanut butter that, let's say, has 190 calories per serving might have more calories, and the other peanut butter that has 170 calories per serving, what if the one that has less calories is highly processed,
Added sugar.
has added sugar, maybe comes with palm oil or, like fructose syrup, which jacks up your hormones, crashes your metabolism, puts your body in inflammation havoc. However, it's 20 calories less.
And all natural.
Yes. You guys, there are so many things to consider here, and we want to show you the fast track to doing it in a way that keeps you sane and doesn't make it daunting.
Does that sound like fun?
So how do you differentiate how do I know whether something is a real whole food? Because what if it says made from real grapes? Like I think the Welsh is like fruit snacks or something. I feel like it says something, but I'm like,
Made from real fruit.
yeah. Like while it's made from real fruit, what if it's got other things that are actually like smashing your kids, like metabolism and system?
And just like a side note too, the FDA's regulations for what you can put on a label when you say something like made with real fruit, it could be made with like 1% real fruit, and then they can put it on the label.
Yeah.
So it's deceptive in a sense that it makes you think I'm eating real fruit. And look, like I applaud you all. Like you're making an effort, right? You want to get the better thing. That's your intention. You're putting in effort. You're being conscious of, yes, I'd rather choose the one made with real fruit than not real fruit. And unfortunately, the industry just allows so much, it's so flexible. And so we're here to just help you understand that so that you are more educated when you do go into the grocery store and you can look at these things and you can, take that effort that you're applying and make it productive for yourself.
Yeah. So here, do you want to write it while I'm playing? So, okay, real food versus a food-like product. So one simple way to consider it is, we're going to dive deeper and deeper the more pointers I give you, because with some foods, you're going to find exceptions. So, like, was this food readily available back in the day where your great grandma was alive? Like, was the Welsh's fruit snacks that claims to have less calories right? Like available back in the day. Why yes, why no, right? So,
What am I supposed to write?
so
Way back when?
way back when,
No, that'd be
way back when will be for here, recent will be for here. If it was not available back then it's like, oh, okay, well, what caused it? So, of course, through industrialization, food processing became more and more common for a couple of reasons. Number one, because there was more machinery. And number two, like it was back in about our mom's eras where women started going in the workforce, or just, like there was more commute involved. And therefore there was a higher need for convenience. Back in the day, if you were to be able to call up your great grandma right now and you're like, hey, great grandma, like what would you normally eat for dinner on a Monday night? They'll probably tell you, oh, like meat and potatoes and, like some vegetable, right? Like, how did things get so complicated? Because of industrialization. It's not even your fault. So these are all habits that are now passed down from generation to generation. And some of the habits that you've created have been habits that you've seen your mom do. Man, like your mom, like grandma didn't even have to understand these things back then because it wasn't a problem for her. And that's why it's so important that you immerse yourself in the content, because how things have shifted, So that's thing number one. Historically available post industrialization. The other thing with regards to
that does not mean that everything that's been created post industrialization is bad.
No, that's why we're telling
It's
you, like
general.
there are exceptions. Okay, just please think in general terms. Okay. Then real food. It either grew on the land, on a plant, in a tree, somewhere from Mother Nature, directly got picked somehow, right? Or it used to, like move and make sounds before.
As an animal.
Right? Like a chicken or turkey or things along those lines, right? Like if that does not apply, then it is a food-like product. Okay. And then another thing to consider with that,
basically any of these, but packaged, plus. I'm going to say packaged plus, meaning packaged. This is not the only ingredient. Apple is not the only ingredient. Beef is not the only ingredient.
yeah. With regards to also real foods versus food-like products, you're going to find food-like products because, it is packaged. It is easy to package it in a way where it can make a claim. Right? Versus a real food from, Mother Nature, or, you got from the farmer, you can still get it at the grocery store. Real food doesn't have any claims to make. Mother Nature doesn't have any claims to make. When you're going to the grocery store and you're picking up like a head of lettuce, you're not going to see, say, low calorie, like
diet lettuce,
enriched, like rich in vitamins and minerals, right? Because Mother Nature does not make any claims. What you see is what you get, right? So like food that makes claims like low fat, reduced sugar, like keto, paleo, all these things, right? It is processed to some degree, which means that it is important for you to take greater consideration, because just because it's making a claim, is it actually in alignment from a quality standpoint? And what you want to look at is the ingredient list. Where does that apply in the ingredient list? Because if that peanut butter that's got, less calories than the other peanut butter, right? Peanut butter one can have more calories, right? Like all you're seeing is freaking like ground peanuts, right? It's like the thing that you like crush, right? Like one ingredient, peanut. What you see is what you get. Versus it's got less calories, right? And you take a look at the ingredients list. Maybe at first you're more attracted to it because you're like, oh, damn, it's got less calories. Great. And then you take a look at the ingredient list and you're like, okay, ingredient number 1, peanuts. Ingredient number 2, palm oil. Ingredient number 3, sugar or fructose syrup. Ingredient number 4, salt. Ingredient number 5, xylo, malto, blah, blah, blah. That you're like, I can't even read that. Which one do you think is going to be better for your body? Consider that. Okay. So you want to take a look at the ingredient list, right? So the number of ingredients. And then the other thing that you want to consider is what type of ingredients are made there, or what type of ingredients are making up that thing, right? Because the ingredient of just like peanuts versus, xylo, malto, glycine, blah, 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 right? You're like, show me where does that exist, like with Mother Nature, right? So if it is made in a lab, it is going to take a lab to break it down. I'll say this again. If it's made in a lab, it's going to take a lab to break it down, which means that if it takes a lab to break it down, what's going to happen is that there's going to be adverse health effects. There is going to be inflammation. There's going to be a greater likelihood for increased weight gain. So you could be trying all day long to, I'm going to like buy all of these things. And like I said, the food industry is actually taking advantage of this lack of understanding. Because if you think, let me ask you this, you guys, please answer with a yes or a no. If you were to eat a food that you're like, this is going to get me faster to my goals. Oh, and I love it too. Would you consider wanting to pay more for that? Just go ahead and drop yes or no. Would you consider wanting to pay more for that? If the answer is yes, which it most likely is, because when you know that you've done all these things, right? Like you've had all these gadgets, diet pills, you've done this diet, that diet, read this book, that book, right? And every time you're like, okay, like this time it's going to be the thing, right? Like there is a little bit less and less and less hope. However, there's still hope out there. And that's the most important thing, right? And when you know that you have hope, and when you know that you are invested in becoming a better version of yourself, some of you guys at the beginning said, like, I want to improve my relationship with food. I want to have more mental clarity. I want to have a better understanding. On and on and on it goes, right? Like you would be willing to invest, right, in that peanut butter, even if it was $12 more, because you're like, oh yeah, this is going to help me to get me to that goal. Yes? Yeah, I see all those yeses. So the other thing that you want to consider is not just the number of ingredients, but also the type of ingredients. Okay, this is the simpler way. This is the better way in order for you to gain a better understanding of the overall quality of your food. And it is not talked about. When it comes to food, what you should consider is eat real food, not too much, mostly plants, right? Like it's not a specific diet that's going to get you there. It's not like the paleo or the veganism or the keto or the whatever it may be, or the calorie counting or the Weight Watchers. It's the lifestyle of habits that you're building, that is going to dictate how far you'll be able to go. Because let me tell you something, like if you're from India, right? Like, cows are sacred over there, right? And, you heard that the carnivore diet is the only thing that's going to get you there, but you're like, dude, but it is not aligned with my ethical values. Or maybe like eating any animal protein is not ethical with your, values. Like if you were to just follow a diet for what a diet is, you're not going to do it. And if you do, you'll only be able to do it so far, right? So that's why we're sharing this with you. Yeah. Do you want to add anything else to that before we get to today's challenge?
One more piece that I want to add that I tell almost everybody that I communicate with initially who has a weight loss goal of some kind is if what you try to do to lose weight is not something that you feel like you would want to continue doing for the rest of your life in the current moment that you're in, based on your schedule, your preferences, your family, your work, whatever, don't start there. Don't start there. So we're going to be giving you better ways, because it's imagining you go from anywhere in the United States, regardless of how cold it is, to Antarctica. But let's be dramatic about it. Let's say we go from, because usually when we go on a calorie deficit, it's dramatic. Who likes it? Can you put like love it in the chat if you like love counting calories and like want to do it for the rest of your life? I've never met anybody, but I'm open-minded. There could be somebody here. Imagine if you went from South Florida, hot, humid, to the next day you woke up in Antarctica in the same outfit. Dead. Why? Because your body is not acclimated. Your body has not had any time to adjust. You haven't put any safeguards in place like a parka. You haven't exposed yourself to colder air at any point in time in between. It was like bang to bang. You had no time to acclimate. So it's also like if you go diving, the further down you go, like your ears start to pop and stuff. But if you went like boom, 100 yards down, boom, ears burst, like immediate, you're probably dead because you have no time to acclimate or to adjust or to adapt your system to that new environment. And they're on two dramatic spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go from eating fast food a few times a week and, ordering Uber Eats, Chinese food, whatever, a couple times, a week, and, having ice cream or brownies or sweets or something, pizza on Fridays, to like no more drinking, no more carbs, no more sugar. That is it's the same equivalent as going from South Florida to Antarctica overnight.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder we can't follow through. We've no time to acclimate, no time to adjust or adapt or get used to. So we're going to show you a better way.
Yeah. So we're going to get into what today's challenge is all about, where you're basically going to be implementing what we've shown you, through the teaching today. That, counting calories is not the answer. As a matter of fact, tracking your food is only going to take you so far. And, like, how do you create sanity while at the same time allowing yourself to get further with regards to your goals? You want to gain a better understanding of what am I eating, right? Like, is it a real food or is it a food-like product, right? How much am I eating? Which, I mean, that's easy, right? And then what is the overall quality of it? And how do I consider it in a simpler way? So for the next 24 hours between now and our next live stream, what you'll want to do is three things. And by the way, when you join this challenge and you're actually, no, I think yesterday, you got the resources that you'll want to utilize here. So
Once you signed up today, you would have gotten it today, but it's the resource email for the Spring Leaning Challenge.
yeah,
go to-
so number one, we gave you a bunch of recipes because you love, who
We know
doesn't
you
love
love
good recipes? Also, these are recipes that are in alignment, right? That don't take a really long time to make and that are going to help you to get ahead with your goals. Okay, so
you have your training.
you have your training, okay? And in that training, depending on your current fitness level, you'll be able to distinguish for yourself what you should do for your workout. Now, keep in mind that if you're currently following a training program and it's working for you, repeat successful acts. However, most people, when they come to our community, they've either not been consistent with their training, or perhaps they want something that, is, quick, or, whatever
You don't have
obstacle.
to think about. You don't have
Right.
to think about it because we've given it to you.
Yeah, we wanted to go the extra mile and provide you some training as well. And then you have your accountability report, where every single day for the next 5 days, you will track the action steps that we're going to give you. So every day and over the next 5 days, we will be giving you 3 action steps. So going into tomorrow or within the next 24 hours, depending on whatever time zone you're in, your first action step is going to be to do 30 minutes of intentional movement. Okay, so if you're injured or compromised and you're like doing any workout, it's just too much for me, you can do a 30-minute walk, or just, you have different levels. We want to meet you based on where you're at. So we're not going to tell you what to do, because what if you're compromised in one way, shape, or form, or it just doesn't speak your language? We're not going to tell you do this, or you can't sit with us. I don't know what movie is that, but
Mean Girls. But also, it's about how to make this work for your lifestyle.
yeah,
Because we're not here to tell you, oh, eat this many grams or ounces of chicken breast with a half a cup of brown rice and a cup of broccoli. And then for this one, eat green beans and this and that. Like, this whole thing is stay with your workouts. You don't have to do this workout. You don't have to do that workout. Do something that works for you. Shoot, it could be a walk for some of you. That's fine as long as it's intentional. We'll talk about it. But this is whole thing about how do we make this work for you. So no, I want to say there's no right or wrong, but I suppose when something's not going to be beneficial to you, and it could be because it's too much for you at this point, right? You need to adjust to it.
yeah. So the other thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to implement what we talked about today. And basically for the next 24 hours, if, like any food that you're eating is composed of more than 5 ingredients, it does not apply. So basically what we're doing is, through implementation, we're teaching you to eat in a cleaner way. So many times I hear people say, okay, Erin and Sarit, I eat clean. And then I'm like, show me. Right? So the simplest way to get into the show me, which show me is going to be is going to be the third thing that you're going to do, is, for, let's say, dinner, if that's your next meal, okay, like you want to make sure that it's included with less than 5 ingredients. So for example, if whatever you're having for dinner, like, has more than 5 ingredients, then it does not apply. And please
What does that mean? It does not apply.
Like, if it has more than 5 ingredients, then it does not apply to your full score.
What does that mean?
We're going to get to that in just a second. Okay. So action step number 3 is going to be you making a post about, like, what did you eat and whether it was less or more than 5 ingredients. It's accountability, right? So for example, like if you were to have, let's say, pizza tonight, it's got more than 5 ingredients. And when I say 5 ingredients, I don't mean like cheese, dough, tomato sauce. No, it's like, what is the dough made out of? What is the tomato sauce made out of? What is the cheese made out of? It is going to expand your mind to the opportunity of what a real food actually is. Because so many times, I hear and see people who are really trying really hard to eat better, but because it says this claim or that claim, you think you're doing well when you can be doing a lot better. So you can earn up to 3 points going into tomorrow. One for the 30 minutes of intentional movement, one for the nutritional implementation, and the other one for the accountability for making a post. We want you to engage. I'll tell you, the people who will be the most engaged for the next 5 days are going to be able to create the most momentum. That's how it always is, right? And also we'll be able to support you as best as possible because we can only see you when we can see you. You know what I mean? So going into tomorrow, for completing each and every one of those action steps, you gain 1 point. Okay. Falling short on any of these, let's say, like you plan to do your workout in the morning and you had a packed day and for some reason you were not able to do your workout. You're only going to account for the action steps that you were able to follow through with. Okay. So what you're doing is you're tracking your action steps. And over time, like for example, for the next 5 days, we're going to track your level of consistency with regards to different elements. The reason why that's important for you is because it's going to give you feedback with regards to what things am I doing well, what things am I not doing so well on, what things am I really not doing well on. Right? Because this is a game of consistency with regards to implementing a bunch of habits. We've all counted calories. We've all tracked all the bullshit, right? And there's a reason why we're here, because you want to learn a better way and we're here to teach you that. So I'd much rather you, stick around with us for the next 5 days, even if you know that you're getting 2 out of 3 points every single day, than, like falling short on how consistent you are with regards to this event.
It's the tortoise and the hare. Would you rather get 2 points every day for 365 days and never be perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you rather get 3 points 5 days out of the week and then not get any points for another 3 weeks? Right? Yeah. So this is stuff that we teach like all of our clients. This is stuff that we teach. We've got tons of YouTube videos out there. Who has ever, I know when I started working with a personal trainer, I was like, just tell me what to do. Like, just tell me what to eat. Tell me what workouts to do. Tell me what, do I do these things? How many do I do? How much weight do I do? Tell me tell me in the comments if you're like, just tell me what to do, Erin Sarit. Just tell me what to do. Tell me. Just tell me what to do. Because there's what I would love to do, but doesn't look like anybody wants. Okay, nobody needs that. Okay, perfect, no problem.
Okay.
There they are. I was like, something's delayed. Okay, so when I first started personal training, I was like, gosh, I don't want to think about it. That's why we like to buy workout programs. That's why we like to watch videos of people doing workouts. That's why we like to have a plan. We have a plan that somebody wrote out for us that we trust, right? Some professional of some kind. We actually are doing an event in May that we're going to literally tell you what to do. And we're going to give you 8 weeks worth of content in 2.5 days. So you're going to like drink through a fire hose, get your safety goggles on because it's going to come at you hot. But we're actually going to like help you develop a plan that works for you to make all of this make even more sense. And then you can take all the things that you learned from this 5 days and you can actually then roll it over into how do we create a structure for you for the next for the next month or 2 months that works for you, that works for your schedule, that works for your preferences, and you know exactly what to do each day, and you get more of exactly like this, then you can go to bodyfasttrack.com to check out the details. That's all I'm going to say about that. That event is in May. It's like a month from now.
Yeah.
But I know that for myself, that made the learning process easier at first wasn't just a matter of having somebody give me exactly what to do, because eventually you become dependent if they're not also teaching you why you're doing that and how you came up with that plan. So that's what we want to do. It's called the Bang and Body Fast Track. And so 2.5 days, we want to help you develop your own plan, work with us to develop your plan, but then also know, why am I putting the things that I'm putting? Why are these things going to work for my lifestyle? What's the purpose of them? And how do I evolve it over time? So bodyfasttrack.com.
Yeah. And great. So tomorrow we're going to see you at 5 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how to basically get ahead and hack your genes, regardless of whether you've been called, like big boned, regardless if, like you have, like some kind of chronic disease running in your family. There is a better way. And yes, you are in control. And yes, we know that we live in a crazy world. And that's why we need to come together, come real close to the camera.
Kumbaya.
And really gather forces and, like be the form of transformation that we are proud of. Because let me tell you something, this is not only going to help you to feel better when you look at yourself in the mirror. This is going to impact your relationship. This will impact how far you'll be able to go, mentally, if you are, like performance geared, like how you show up for your work, like your potential with regards to so many things. Your body is your vehicle, and we're here to show you a better way of how do you get the body that you're proud of without losing your mind while loving the process. You guys, I want to give you guys a huge shout out.
That'll be your Datsun 210 into a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Boom. And I want to give you guys a huge shout out because, like if you're new, you've inserted yourself to the absolutely the most positive, the most supportive community you've ever met. And I just want to say thank you guys, because these are real people who, like depending on where they're at, have walked through the steps that you need to walk through. And I'm telling you, this is no bullshit gimmick. These are life principles that if you apply them one day at a time, one step at a time, it will transform your life. Okay. That's what we are here to help you do, because we're here to be the change that the world needs to hear and see. And so we're on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. Because we're here to change the face of this industry and also of this country. So we're going to do whatever it takes. And we really hope that you stick around. There's only so much that's within our control other than us doing our best. So I hope that you enjoyed today. And we look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group. We'll see you on tomorrow's live. Between now and then, go and get to your action steps. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care.